Well, hello, greetings, Earthlings. I'm having some troubles today. I'm always wanting to try different things. And today I was trying out a different microphone. It worked before, it's not working now. It's probably the settings, I don't know what it is. So I switched over to this one that I've never used before. And I think it's going to work okay, but we're going to find out. I have really, really bad news for you. Hell on Earth is here. I started out my day going up to the beach a bit ago. That's always a pleasant experience. Today the water is really blue. It's low tide. There's some tidal pools out there, and you can always find interesting things out there. Octopus, some other stuff, sea creatures. Anywho, didn't hang out long. Came back home, and I was starting to make this video out on the patio, and the humidity's already hit in. It's already hit. I wasn't expecting it till maybe next month. Last night I actually had to turn on the air conditioner to sleep. But I'm in the house now with the air conditioner going, which is kind of a bummer because now for the next 5 months, in fact, through just about October, it's going to be hot and humid, like Houston, New Orleans. It's hot and humid. It's miserable. You go outside and you're immediately sweaty and your glasses fog up. Kind of sucks. So, the purpose of the video today is maybe a little bit of a segue from living in hell on earth to the purpose of this channel existing even. The original intent was for me to experience and to show others how senior citizens, which is me, can get out there in spite of disabilities or financial issues and experience the world. Loneliness is epidemic with old people, probably younger ones too. The economy is bad, so if you're living on a fixed income, that could be a real challenge. If you're feeling the effects of age, like arthritis, other things like that, then certainly that could be an impediment to your getting out and seeing the world. I'm fortunate that I get a very healthy Social Security check and a military disability check, and that my cost of living expenses here in Puerto Penasco, i.e. Rocky Point, are very low. I worked at that. This is a tourist town. You could easily make some cataclysmic mistakes by spending money like a tourist, but that's not really the kind of person I am. I'm really interested in getting out onto the street and finding the way the locals live and the way the locals eat. That's why I'm here. That's why you travel, is to see the diversity in the world and to experience it and live it a little bit. So, I've got arthritis. I was an athlete my whole life, running in the military. I carried an M16 and a 45, and later a SIG 226 and a pack, and you jump out a helicopter. It just wears down. Stuff just breaks. Well, you can either get busy living or get busy dying. I choose the living part. So, over the course of the next few months, I hope you're going to find me finding different ways to get from point A to point B. If you've seen any of the other videos, you'll see that I ride a bicycle a lot. I ride a quad. I try to keep the car parked. The bicycle lets me see things, and I'm fortunate that I'm living in a town that I can get anywhere I want to on a bicycle. It's healthy for you. You lose weight. You get to see the sights, the sun, the air. My friends, if you can get on a bike, even if it's a stationary bike, get on it. It's low impact. You can get some great exercise, feel good, get the endorphins kicked in, the dopamine, all the other good stuff that helps you live a productive life. So I'll be getting onto a Mexican bus, which rumor has it are much better than the old Trailways and Greyhounds up in the United States. And I think I'm going to take my first trip to Mexicali just as a test. We'll see. Now, my video today is to discuss with you the logistics of traveling in terms of a visa. Now, in the description, I'm going to put in some links that you can kind of do the research yourself. Don't just listen to me. Do the research yourself. So to travel in Mexico, to come into Mexico, well, there's going to be two ways. One, you fly. Once you hit the airport, they're going to give you an FMM, which is, they call it a tourist visa. They change it all the time, but it's an FMM. You can get up to 180 days. They'll give you a piece of paper that's stamped, and they can stamp your passport as well. Americans are able to get a passport and a passport card. I have both. When I go back up to the United States, I usually just pull my passport card out of my wallet, and there's a device that you hold it up to, and it tells the guy at the gate who you are, and you go in. Anywho, if you're going to drive across the border, for example, Lukeville into Sonoita, there's not going to be any immigration there to check and see if you've done the paperwork that you need. There may be some National Guard. They used to be the Federales, but now they're the Guardia Nacional. National Guard, they might check your car along with customs to see if you have any guns, ammunition, items that they can declare a tariff on, customs, that sort of thing. Sometimes you stop, sometimes you don't, and you keep on going, and nobody's going to harass you except for maybe the police. If they decide they have to have lunch money that day, they may actually stop you and hit you up for some mordita, which is a bribe. And you'll see plenty about that posted from other websites. I don't focus on the negative like that. Anyway, in some videos out there, you're going to see that immigration doesn't arbitrarily give you 180 days anymore, that it's discretionary. And it indeed is discretionary. The ones that I'm hearing that they are getting less than 180 days are down towards the resorts in Cancun and other places. And there's a suggestion that there's some corruption involved in not giving you 180 days. I don't really know. My experience is that I get online, I fill out the paperwork for my FMM, I pay for my paperwork, which is, I don't know, maybe 20 bucks. I don't remember. And then I go up to Sonoita. I give it to the immigration there at the border. The last week, it took 3 minutes. In and out, no questions, 180 days, stamp, gone. The time before that, they asked, where are you going to be going? I gave them the answer, 180 days, no problem, bang, in and out. So that's my experience. Other people are clearly having an experience with something else. In the description, you're going to find a newspaper report about immigration rules changing a bit. This is a story about 3 indigenous Mexicans who were traveling on a bus heading from south to north to do agricultural work, I think. Yeah, indigenous Mexicans, the Mayans. And they were a Mayan people who don't speak Spanish. They speak the Mayan dialect. Immigration boarded the bus. They didn't have the proper paperwork that the immigration felt they needed. Pulled them off the bus, tortured them, and then, of course, in torture, you're going to be able to get some answers out of people that aren't true. And they did it in this case, and they deported one of those people to Guatemala, a country that they have never been before. They filed suit. The Mexican Supreme Court said that it was unconstitutional for immigration to board a bus or anything, I guess, and demand the paperwork of people because it was racial profiling. I don't know if the practice has stopped or not. The last thing in the world I want is to be on a bus without an FMM and have immigration get on board in spite of there being a law and deciding that I needed to go sit in a jail for a couple of days and then be deported back to the United States. It's not a fun experience, I would imagine. So I've tried to do what I think I need to do, and we're going to find out if that's the case. What's the big deal? Well, when I was up at immigration, I asked how many people actually stop and get their FMM, and I was told uh, nobody. I was the only one that had come by. And I will tell you that the place that I live, Puerto Penasco, has a population of about maybe 40,000. It's a pueblo, not a city, town, not a city. But it gets 2 million tourists in a year. And that's a lot. That's a lot of people coming in from California and Arizona. And I will tell you that virtually none of those people actually stop and get their proper paperwork to be here. Isn't that a gas? Americans illegally in Mexico. I mean, how many people cry about illegal immigrants up in the United States, and we're doing the same thing. But with 2 million tourists in a little town, you can understand how the gross national product of not only this little region, but Mexico is affected by the tourism that goes on. There is a keen interest in making sure that that isn't disrupted by immigration coming down and messing with people. And the law supposedly now is they're not allowed to do that. I will tell you that immigration is a great law when Americans come down here and violate the sovereignty of Mexico or the municipalities by breaking the law or making themselves a nuisance. If you get picked up by the police for something serious, not a DWI, not some of the small things, and they don't want you in this country anymore, they're not going to go through the process of extradition, which takes time. They're going to look to see if you're here legally, and if you're not, they're just going to grab you up and take you up to the border and escort you across into the United States. Makes it a lot easier. I don't want that happening to me. And then you're going to wind up going in the computer, and if they stop you, they'll see that you're illegally, and it starts getting worse and worse and worse. So this old guy with bad knees is going to get on a bus, and he's going to test the system. One, are the Mexican buses pretty comfortable and nice to ride? Two, are they going to check to see if I have the proper paperwork? Because that's how they allegedly are getting around it now. See, the United States has pressured Mexico to do something about stemming the flow of illegal aliens coming up from Central America through Mexico up to the border. And part of that was for immigration to get on those buses and stop the immigration. Well, since they can't do that anymore, allegedly, the bus stations are mandated to check to make sure that people that are buying tickets have the proper authorization to be in Mexico. They're either Mexican citizens, have their voter's card or whatever they need, or they're an American like me who has his FMM and can supposedly travel freely. We're going to find out. I'm going to bet that the bus stations are not going to check whether or not I have the proper paperwork. But we'll see. And then we're going to see also when I get on the bus and travel, there's going to be checkpoints. There's always a checkpoint, usually military. We're going to find out if they're going to ask me for paperwork, anything like that, and I'm going to let you know. The sad news is that whatever I report to you at that time will be archaic information that in 30 days could be something else. A year could be something else. It changes constantly. You just got to stay on top of it and figure out what's going on. So there. Some of the things that we're going to talk about in the future, and leave your comments so that I can address it, is that some of you know that I spent a good deal of my adult life in the intelligence industry, and then as a private investigator owning my own agency. Much of my experience as a private investigator was global, and much in Mexico, the United States, but I did a lot of financial crimes, a lot of computer crimes, figuring out who was behind websites, who was behind emails, who was behind The internet, saying bad things about other people. I worked a lot for law firms and attorneys. A lot of my clientele were unfortunately people that are vulnerable, some seniors, for example, a lot of ladies that are lonely and made the mistake of trying to get on the internet and finding something that is unrealistic, and they want to know if the person on the other side is who they say they are. It's a Dr. Phil show. Anyway, I'm going to talk about things like that. It's probably not going to be good news for you. I'm going to try to talk you into staying away from dating sites. I'm going to try to talk you into using good common sense. I'm going to talk to you about finding other ways to make friends. I'm going to, talk about your safety. I'm going to talk about some of the things that I've done as a private investigator. It'll be truly frightening to you, I think, when you discover some of the things that we have access to, or had, because I'm retired now. I turned in my license, retired, and I'm not looking back. I hope that's something that you're interested in, because I seem to be the light of the party when I'm invited to some of these things. They want to hear about the adventures that I've had, and they haven't all been good, unfortunately. So this topic was traveling around Mexico as a broken down old man or woman, and what's coming up in the future. If you have questions, man, I'm all ears, because other than putting ships in bottles, I don't have all that much else to do except try to edit these things, which is so much fun. I look forward to making new friends, and if you need somebody to reach out to because you're having a bad moment, send me a message or friend me in Facebook. I'm pretty guarded about who I let in, because like I just told you, there's crazy people out there that don't mean you any good. And I'm I'm a reserved person, almost an introvert. It's a little bit frustrating for me sometimes, but maybe together we can deal with those issues and overcome them. All right. I look forward to hearing from you, and you can look forward to hearing from me and seeing more videos.